What's up guys, welcome to part 3 of my rewrite for Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi. Since the original version of The Last Jedi is such a long movie, I broke down my rewrite into 4 videos, with each video covering one act of the film. In this video, we're going to be tackling the third act. This is what would usually be referred to as Act 2B, aka the bad guys close in. This is when our heroes get themselves knee deep into trouble and they hit their lowest low as the antagonists score some major victories against them. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 yet, I strongly recommend that you guys check those out before moving on with this video. But if you're busy and you don't have time to watch 2 20-minute videos, here's a quick recap. With his father dead and his crewmates off helping Qi'ra train, Sam Solo decides to stick around with General Leia and help his mom out by fighting for the Resistance as a commander of an X-Wing squadron. Leia is later killed in one of the First Order's attacks, and she is succeeded by Admiral Akbar, who believes that there is a traitor hiding in the Resistance's ranks. Because of this, suspicion immediately falls on the pirate queen Maz Kanata and her crew. Maz has been voluntarily helping the Resistance out, but in the face of these accusations, Maz and her crew abandon the Resistance cause, and they go off on their own, while Sam starts to orchestrate a mutiny against Admiral Akbar. FN-2187 is a loyal stormtrooper in the First Order who leads a team of special force troopers known as Titan Squad. While on a mission to capture Resistance spies, FN's eyes are open to the barbaric brutality that the First Order rains down upon the innocent civilians of the galaxy. After doing some digging and speaking to one of the captured Resistance spies, FN-2187 uncovers a dirty secret. All of the stormtroopers in the First Order were babies who had been kidnapped by the First Order and were raised to believe that the Rebel Alliance had been responsible for all of the chaos and evil in the galaxy. Through Kylo Ren, we discover that Supreme Leader Snoke's true identity is that of Darth Plagueis, the former master of Emperor Palpatine, who was thought to be dead years ago. Snoke is disappointed with his apprentice's emotional weakness, and the Knights of Ren begin to show disfavor for Kylo Ren. Qi'ra begins training in the ways of the Jedi under Luke Skywalker, and learns from the legendary Jedi Master that she is potentially one of the strongest Force users in the history of the galaxy, and this terrifies her. But thanks to Luke's guidance, Qi'ra starts to get the hang of it. But she realizes that she is connected with Kylo Ren through a Force dyad, and she doesn't know why. Qi'ra is also trying to figure out the identity of her parents by using Force telepathy, but because she's still a novice, she can't figure it out. So, Luke sneaks into Qi'ra's hut in the middle of the night, and he telepathically searches through Qi'ra's memories while she sleeps, to see if he can find out who her parents really are. After cross-referencing Qi'ra's memories with Chewbacca's, Luke discovers a major secret. Qi'ra is the bastard child of Han Solo and some random girl that Han had an affair with almost 20 years ago. For years, Han Solo and Qi'ra's mother successfully covered up the scandal by hiding Qi'ra away. But now, Luke knows the truth. Qi'ra is a Solo, and this is why she has a Force dyad with Kylo Ren. They're half-siblings, and she's Luke's niece once removed. But Luke is keeping this piece of information a secret for the time being. Now, on with the show. Act 3. We open on Captain Phasma's Star Destroyer, where FN-2187 and TK-157 are showing all the confidential files regarding the kidnapping and brainwashing of the stormtroopers to their fellow teammate, TK-1719. She's just as taken back by the revelation as her companions, and as a group, Titan Squad talks about what they should do next. FN decides that they need to expose the lies of the First Order to the rest of their brothers and sisters. At the very least, they deserve to know the truth. Then they can decide what to do for themselves. Titan Squad makes their rounds across the Star Destroyer, summoning every stormtrooper that they can find to the barracks for an emergency debriefing. Once they have a decent amount of stormtroopers assembled in the barracks, FN has TK-157 present the files to the rest of the stormtroopers. Also, as a quick side note, I want to remind you guys that about a quarter of the stormtroopers are aliens in this rewrite. With irrefutable evidence in front of them, the enlightened stormtroopers can't deny the lies and injustices that have been committed against them. This whole time, they looked up to the First Order as saviors. They grew up believing that the First Order had taken them in, given them a home, and given them a purpose, when in reality, that couldn't be farther from the truth. The First Order took everything from them. They robbed the stormtroopers of their lives, their families, their futures, their identities, and worst of all, their freedom. For all these years, the stormtroopers thought that they were crusading for a noble cause, fighting the good fight and reuniting the galaxy piece by wiping out the terrorists known as the Resistance. But the truth is, the stormtroopers have been manipulated into being the harbingers of grief and pain. FN-2187 gives a rousing speech to his comrades, telling them that they are free to do as they will, but as for him, He is going to dedicate the rest of his life to righting the wrongs that he has committed to the galaxy. He is going to do everything that he can to atone for his sins and make sure that he is fighting for the right side. For all those who wish to take their fate into their own hands, FN2187 urges them to stand with him as he fights to take back what the First Order stole from them. All of the Stormtroopers raise their fists in agreement, and they join Titan Squad in taking up arms against their former leaders. The first step is to take control of the ship. The Stormtroopers are at an advantage because Captain Phasma is currently on board Hux's flagship, leaving the rebels with an opportunity to seize her ship. Utilizing his mind for Black Ops strategy, FN coordinates teams of rebels to seize control of the most critical areas of the ship. FN commands his followers to not use lethal force. They don't want to kill any of their innocent brothers or sisters. It's not their fault that they're still in the dark about the truth. They don't deserve to die, even if it secures an easier victory for them. Using stealth and precision tactics, the rogue Stormtroopers gain control of the armory, the hangar, the main reactor chamber, the hyperdrive generator. Now, they just need the bridge. On their way to the bridge, Titan Squad stops by the brig, and they release all of the prisoners and provide them with weapons to help them overtake the spacecraft. DJ and the rest of the Resistance spies join FN2187 in storming the bridge, but the bridge doors have been sealed tight. TK realizes that the officers aboard the bridge have caught on to what is happening, and they are trying to contact Captain Phasma. TK does everything that he can to jam their transmissions through the terminal on his arm, but there's a droid inside the bridge who is in the middle of a digital duel with TK. The two hackers engage in a race to see who can overpower the other with viruses and firewalls. But for as skilled as TK is, he's not as fast as a machine, and the droid successfully kicks him out of the system. Technology couldn't aid them. Now it's time for brute force. FN blows up the doors to the bridge with a grenade, and he and the rest of the Resistance spies successfully manage to seize the bridge and stun the rest of the officers. But they're too late. The officers were able to call Captain Phasma and warn her of the uprising. She's now on her way back to deal with it. Over the ship's intercom, FN alerts the rest of his rebels to get to their battle stations and prepare for Phasma's arrival. We cut back to Octo, where Kira is going through another day of Jedi training, except this time, Luke is acting pretty strange. He's being distant for some reason, and Kira is confused by this. To help soothe the rising anger inside her, Luke gives Kira a mantra that he wants her to meditate on whenever her temper starts to get out of control. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. Later that night, Kira tries once again to learn the identity of her parents through Force telepathy, but just like last time, she fails. That's when the fourth and final dyad scene kicks in. Kira finds herself talking with Kylo about her desire to learn more about her parents. Kylo suggests that he might be able to help Kira by lending her some of his strength through their Force connection. Kira reluctantly admits that Kylo is more adept at these Force techniques than she is due to his advanced training, and she agrees to fully meld their memories together. This is when both Kylo and Kira stumble upon the dark secret. By cross-referencing their memories, they're both able to pinpoint that Kira was the byproduct of a scandal between Han Solo and some unnamed woman. Kira and Kylo look at each other in shock. They're half-siblings. Their biological relationship explains why Kira and Kylo share a Force dyad. Kira doesn't know how to respond. She's about to cut off the dyad when Kylo stops her and tells her that there's more. Kylo tells Kira that while he scanned through her memories, he found out that Luke had entered Kira's mind the night before. He knows the truth as well, and he's been hiding it. That's why Luke was acting so weird during training today. Kira cuts off the dyad, and we can see her whole face contort with rage. That fiery passion inside her is now boiling at a white-hot temperature. She bursts out into the rain and stomps over to Luke's hut. With a scream of vengeance, Kira draws upon all her anger and she shatters the walls of Luke's hut with a swing of her arms. This confrontation between Kira and Luke will remain pretty much the same way as it is in the original film, but instead of Kira accusing Luke of hiding the truth about Kylo's betrayal, he's hiding the truth about her heritage. Seeking redemption, Kira force pulls her staff into her hands and attacks her master. The rest of this fight will play out the same way, but Chewie and R2 will be watching from a distance, worried of getting caught in the crossfire of such strong personalities clashing against one another. When Kira corners Luke, he finally confesses that he hid the truth about her parents because he not only wanted to protect her, he wanted to protect his own family. Luke knows all too well what it's like to learn the horrible truth about his father's identity, only to find sin. He wanted to spare Kira that pain. But Kira furiously tells her master that he had no right to keep that information from her. But now that Kira knows Kylo Ren is her half-brother, Kira is convinced that he can be turned back to the light side. Luke forbids Kira from leaving the island to go look for her brother. Her connection with the Force is still too raw. She won't stand a chance against the temptations of the dark side. But Kira abandons her training all the same. Kira calls out to Chewie to prep the Falcon. Her mind is set on converting her half-brother and redeeming his soul. As she boards the Falcon, Qi'ra will leave Luke with one final jab. You're a sad old man who's too busy feeling sorry for himself to be of any use. You want to deny that there's still good in others? You want to sit here and give in to your failures? Fine, but I refuse to sit back and allow that to happen to my family. Qi'ra reaches out to Kylo Ren through their Force dyad, and he gives her the coordinates to the Sith homeworld of Korriban. The Falcon takes off at light speed. The next scene will be the interaction between Luke and Force Ghost Yoda. This will remain exactly the same as it is in the original film, except we're going to remove the library tree and Yoda using Force lightning, because that just doesn't make any sense. The point of this scene is that Luke is reinvigorated by his old master to embrace his failures and move on with his life. This is a crucial step in Luke's character arc. We cut to Sam and the Resistance aboard the Radice. Sam is sitting in his quarters, holding a hologram of his mother. He swears to preserve the legacy that she left behind, and he promises to do everything in his power to keep the Resistance alive. Sam once again goes to the bridge to ask Admiral Ackbar about the game plan. That's when he notices that the ship is running low on fuel, and the escape pods are being prepped. They're running away rather than fighting. Ackbar continues to withhold information from Sam, and the brash young pilot decides that it's time to spring his plan. Just like in the original film, Sam stages a mutiny with the help of Black Squadron, Nien Nunb, Yipsit, and Hooper Tenrix. Sam shanghais C-3PO into the mutiny as well, because as Leia's last living relative, that automatically makes Sam the droid's new master. Sam apologizes to Admiral Ackbar, but insists that this is for the greater good of the Resistance. But despite his efforts, Sam's mutiny is overthrown by Admiral Ackbar, and he is thrown into the brig along with his insubordinates. We cut to Captain Phasma's Star Destroyer, which is now under new ownership thanks to the Stormtrooper uprising. But things are about to go haywire for Titan Squad. The First Order prisoners down at the shield generator refuse to submit to the rebel Stormtroopers, and they manage to retaliate and free themselves. The loyal Stormtroopers lower the shields so that their captain can land in the hangar with her ship. All hell breaks loose aboard the Star Destroyer as the loyal Stormtroopers begin fighting back against their treacherous brothers. Firefights are erupting across the entire ship. DJ quickly assassinates all of the First Order officers aboard the bridge before they can get a chance to fight back. FN is disgusted by the spies' lack of honor. I made myself clear when I said no fatalities. You don't command me, Buckethead. I'm starting to regret freeing you. Yeah, well, it looks like you can use all the help you can get. DJ points out the window to see Captain Phasma's shuttle about to land on the hangar. The hangar is currently a battlefield thanks to the stiff resistance from the Loyalists. FN orders his troops to open fire on Phasma's ship, but they're too late. She's too close to the hangar for the cannons to get a good angle. Titan Squad and the Resistance spies suit up as they head down to the hangar to stop Phasma. But Titan Squad is ambushed along the way, and they're all dogpiled and captured by the First Order Loyalists. The brainwashed Stormtroopers confirm over intercom that they've retaken control of the ship. We cut back to Qi'ra, who arrives on Korriban and ejects herself from the Falcon and onto the planet's surface the same way that she arrives aboard the Supremacy in the original version. Chewie and R2 will remain safe since they lightspeed away immediately after dropping Qi'ra off. Before he goes outside, Kylo Ren stops as he passes by his helmet on the table. He contemplates whether he should bring it with him or not. We can see that there is conflict in his eyes before he gives in and decides to leave it. Upon landing, Qi'ra finds herself surrounded by the Knights of Ren and taken into custody. But Kylo Ren will make it a point to intercept the Knights and join them in escorting Qi'ra to the throne room. We can tell through their body language that they don't really like Kylo Ren projecting himself onto their business. They've lost respect for Kylo Ren, but they can't do anything about it due to Kylo's superior rank. This throne room scene between Snoke, Qi'ra, and Kylo will remain exactly the same except for a few changes. Instead of Praetorian guards protecting Snoke, we're going to have the Knights of Ren position themselves defensively around the Supreme Leader's throne. While trying to pry into Kira's mind, Snoke will reveal to Qi'ra that he was once Darth Plagueis, mentor to the most successful Sith Lord in galactic history. While attempting to sway Qi'ra to the dark side, Snoke can point out that while Luke hides in the wake of his failures, Snoke carried on. He patiently bided his time until the Emperor was overthrown, and he then used his connections with the banking clan to claim the remnants of the Empire and convert them into the First Order. Because he's a member of the Mun species, Snoke was able to acquire a loan from the banking clan, and he used that money to resurrect the fallen Empire in his own image. For his own safety, he was forced to abandon the name Plagueis, and he took up the alias of Snoke. Not to mention, he was able to hide his unique Force signature from both the Jedi and the Sith, thanks to knowing some of the old Force techniques that Luke himself rediscovered. This would be the case that Snoke presents to Qi'ra to convince her that he would be a far better teacher than the heartbroken Luke Skywalker ever could be. Not to mention he's in need of a replacement for Kylo Ren. He wants a new Darth Vader as his apprentice, and he sees that potential in Qi'ra. But when Qi'ra still stubbornly refuses to give in to Snoke, he orders Kylo to execute her, and instead, Kylo Ren will murder Snoke, prompting the Knights of Ren to attack and avenge their fallen master. The action scene that we got from the original film will remain the same. We're just going to replace the Praetorian Guards with the Knights of Ren. The reason why I don't want Snoke to stick around any longer than he does in the original film is because I really like the idea that Snoke was only there to elevate Kylo Ren. His true purpose in the original film was to help progress Kylo Ren's character arc. Once he had completed that purpose in the story, Snoke was killed off so that Kylo could take center stage as the main antagonist. So, I want to keep that mentality for this rewrite because I think it's worth sacrificing Snoke's potential as an antagonist to elevate Kylo Ren's potential as a complex and well-rounded character. It's an opportunity cost I'm personally willing to take. Anyways, to help even out the odds, Qi'ra and Kylo Ren are going to be using some force moves to help defeat the Knights. While she's fighting, Qi'ra's rage will consume her, and we see her hazel green eyes flicker yellow with the dark side as she crosses blades with the Knights of Ren. She starts using some shady techniques like Force Crush and Force Choke against the Knights of Ren. After dispatching all the Knights, Kylo will then use the heat of his lightsaber to light both halves of Snoke's corpse aflame, ensuring that his former master will not have a body to resurrect himself in. He wants to make sure that Snoke stays dead this time. Qi'ra and Kylo Ren will stare at each other for a few moments. Qi'ra will then close her eyes and whisper to herself, "I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me." The yellow in Kira's eyes will fade as the battle rage passes, and she becomes herself again. And just like in the original film, he tries to bring Qi'ra over to his side, asking her to co-lead the First Order alongside him. This breaks Kira's heart. This was not what she was expecting. How could she have been so wrong? Why can't Kylo see that there is a better path? Does he not care about saving his soul? Or at the very least, preserving what little family he has left? Kylo tells Qi'ra that nobody in the world truly cares about her, not even their parents. She's a bastard. She'll never be accepted anywhere. Not to mention the most important people in her life have failed her. Han failed to be a good father. Her mother failed to hold on to her. And Luke failed to be a good teacher. But Kylo promises Qi'ra that he will not fail like all the others. Qi'ra stares at her half-brother with anger. She makes her stand and tells Kylo that he's wrong. She does have friends who care about her. There are people out there who love her and have made sacrifices for her. It's true that Han and Luke have their flaws and they're not perfect, but they're both still good people who truly care about Qi'ra. But most importantly, Qi'ra knows her own worth. She's better than this. She won't allow herself to become corrupted like Kylo Ren. She refuses to become a part of the First Order, and with silent tears trailing down her cheeks, Qi'ra declines Kylo's offer. And this infuriates Kylo Ren. This is the end of Qi'ra's character arc. Qi'ra has finally overcome all of her insecurities and accomplished her need by recognizing her own self-worth. And with that awareness comes clarity. Qi'ra knows where she belongs. She belongs with her true family. Sam, Chewie, R2, and even Luke. Those are the people who she regards as family. They fight for freedom and justice, and Qi'ra refuses to disappoint them by joining the dark side. Qi'ra's reward for conquering her character arc is the gift of a pure soul and a clean conscience. What comes next will be the climax to the third act of this rewrite. Within the throne room, the half-brother and sister engage in a lightsaber duel. I don't know if John Williams would have been okay with this, but I personally think it would have been poetic to hear a remix of Battle of the Heroes playing in the background with this fight scene. Since just like how it was used in Episode 3 to highlight Anakin's tragic decision to remain with the dark side, the Battle of the Heroes track could have been used to reinforce the tragedy behind Kylo's decision to stick with the dark side. The rematch between Qi'ra and Kylo Ren is way more intense than their previous fight in Episode 7. Both Qi'ra and Kylo have received some training since our last encounter, and they're utilizing these newfound techniques against one another. Kylo will shoot Force Lightning at her, and Qi'ra will use her lightsaber to deflect it back into the wall, causing it to catch fire. As the flames spread and the throne room burns, Qi'ra will parkour run on a section of the wall that isn't burning, and she'll execute a lightsaber throw at Kylo. He'll stop the saber in mid-air with Force Freeze, giving Qi'ra an opportunity to Force push him. He retaliates by blasting Qi'ra with another barrage of lightning. This time it lands, shocking Kira's entire left arm and a portion of her back, giving her third-degree burns and completely singeing her skin and robes. As she lies on the ground hyperventilating with pain, Kylo poises his lightsaber, ready to plunge it through her belly. If you won't let go of the past, then you can die with it. But Kylo's lightsaber is suddenly frozen in mid-stroke. Some unseen force is preventing Kylo from killing his sister. Kylo Ren looks up to see Luke enter the room, drawing back his hood and igniting his green lightsaber. But Luke looks different. He's cleaned up. His hair and his beard are trimmed. And for the first time in many years, Luke has traded in his old leather poncho for his white Jedi robes. Get away from my Padawan. Kylo fires lightning at his old master, and Luke will absorb it into his hands just like Master Yoda did in the prequel trilogy, before launching his own Force lightning back at his nephew. Kylo Ren wasn't anticipating his uncle to know that Sith technique, let alone use it against him. He gets knocked off his feet by the strike of lightning, and Luke will take that time to use Force Heal on Qi'ra. He manages to treat her wounds, but to avoid completely draining himself, he is only able to turn her 3rd degree burns into 2nd degree burns. Luke will then pick up Qi'ra and carry her back to his X-Wing parked outside the temple. Qi'ra's eyes peep open as she sees dozens of defeated stormtroopers scattered across the corridors of the temple. The outer passages and tunnels have collapsed, cutting off any reinforcements. Are we going home? Not yet. I received a transmission from Akbar. The Resistance needs us. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, kid. It's not just your fault, but we don't have time to mope. Our friends need our help. How did you get past the blockade? Luke looks down and gives his apprentice a sarcastic smirk. Kid, when I was 19, I took down a Death Star all on my own. I may be old, but I still have a few tricks up my sleeve. We cut back to the Radice. The Resistance ships are nearing the crystal planet of Christophsis, but they're nearly out of fuel and they're barely running on fumes. Admiral Akbar informs his officers that it's time to put their plan into motion. Beaumont will ask the Admiral, "Are you sure you want Solo?" Yes. The boy may be a troublemaker, but his heart is in the right place. Beaumont nods. As he and the rest of the officers leave, they salute Akbar and tell him that it was an honor to serve with him. All Resistance personnel begin boarding escape pods and flying down to the surface of Christophsis. Akbar then goes down to the brig to visit Sam and the rest of his mutineers. He frees them all from their bonds and tells them to get to the escape pods. Akbar reinstates Sam as a commander, and he finally explains his plan to him. There is a Resistance base hidden on the planet of Christophsis. After Leia died, Akbar sent out a transmission to Luke, arranging for a rendezvous at the Resistance base. From there, Luke will help get the Resistance to safety. That was Akbar's strategy all along, but he couldn't risk compromising the plan when there was a possibility that a spy was still on board the ship. Even though you try to take my job, I have to admit, I admire your boldness, Solo. You have your father's nerve. I wish more of our soldiers had the strength of your will. But I need you to think before you leap, boy. I'm going to need you to be the spark of hope that lights the fire. What do you mean? Just follow my lead, boy. I'm gonna buy you all some time. And Sam, may the Force be with you. Sam boards an escape pod with his friends and launches down towards the surface of Christophsis. The First Order ships will start raining down fire on the escape pods. Admiral Akbar will then take the helm of the Radice and hail General Hux, informing his opponent that he is surrendering himself and his ship in exchange for amnesty for his crew. General Hux's smug smile will turn into a frown as he notices that the Radice is turning straight towards his ship. "What is this?" Hux asks. "It's a trap!" Admiral Akbar will then perform the same lightspeed ram through the First Order fleet that we saw Holdo perform in the original film. Akbar completely slices through the enemy ships, but at the cost of sacrificing his own life. The jump through lightspeed will not only save the Resistance, but it will also save Titan Squad, DJ, and the rest of the rogue stormtroopers from being executed by Captain Phasma, who was about to decapitate them before their ship got hit by the lightspeed maneuver. This next scene will be pulled from one of the deleted scenes from the original version of Episode 8. FN-2187 will expose Captain Phasma to the rest of the nearby loyalist stormtroopers, and they begin to question their loyalties. Phasma will then respond by quickly shooting all of the hesitant stormtroopers before turning on FN. This is the final nail in the coffin. The rest of the loyal stormtroopers charge Phasma, and they try to dogpile her, but she ruthlessly tears through all of them with her electro staff. While their brothers and sisters buy them time, Titan Squad, DJ, and the rest of the rogue stormtroopers and the Resistance spies board a shuttle. DJ will take over the ship's controls and begin flying towards Christophsis. He tells the stormtroopers about the Resistance base hidden on the planet, and how their best bet at survival is to regroup with the Resistance members down on the surface. By the time Phasma is finished slaughtering all of the insubordinates, her clean chrome armor is soaked with blood, and she stares intensely at the rogue shuttle as it flies towards Christophsis. And that concludes part 3 of my rewrite for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. If you like what you've seen so far, go ahead and show me your support by hitting that like button. If you're a fan of my content and you want to know when part 4 of this rewrite will drop, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on any new releases. In the meantime, let me know how you feel about this rewrite so far, and I'll catch you guys next time. May the Force be with you.